Getting hurt, unfortunately, is part of the relationship game. We all know that. We've all been hurt. It's what we do with that that can really determine what the future looks like. And sometimes we get really anchored to the past, to that experience, and that can harm us for far longer than the experience itself. So we're going to dig into that today. I'm Stacy Rocklein, and I'm on a mission to eradicate loneliness. And when we've been hurt, we are creating separation because the person hurt us, we're the person who's hurt, and so we're differentiating between the two of us. It's them against us, and anytime you have separation, you're creating loneliness in your relationship. And you know, for those big ones, when you've been really hurt, that separation can be like a very long distance, and it can last a very long time and just cause us more and more and more suffering. And really, it all comes down to perspective. What kind of perspective we want to take on that harmful experience. We can go back and remember it and remember the hurt and remember the suffering and kind of like keep ourselves stuck in the past. We can go back and think about it and think about how messed up it is and how unfair it was and you know how wrong they were, and we can really focus on that. Or we can look at it with some wide open eyes for understanding and for learning, and that's going to benefit us the most. That's going to, first of all, it's going to like inform what to do going forward, but also anytime you repurpose your hurt for learning, it makes it feel less painful because it's like there's something in here for me, even though I wouldn't want to repeat that experience, and that's part of the reason I want to learn from it. And I wish I didn't have to go through it. There's something for me to take forward in it. And so it's not for no reason, right? That phrase, everything happens for a reason, can be triggering, at least to me, because I don't necessarily want to have all these painful experiences. I don't want to have the loss that I've gone through. But, you know, it does help to think about what's to be learned from it. And so you go and you examine what happened and you ask yourself, like, what is here for me? It's kind of like this. There's this restaurant here where I live that's like one of those popular restaurants that's been open for, I don't know, not a huge long time, but everybody wants to go to it, and it's in a great location. And I went the first time and I had an amazing meal, and I was like, this is awesome because I love this type of food and I'm looking forward to so many more things. But every time I've gone back to it, I have had a negative experience. And I kept trying and I kept trying. I kept wanting to like it. But over and over and over, I kept having the same negative experience. And then I would have the negative experience and then I would be like, damn it, again? And so I was just repeating something and never learning, and then adding to it a story about how this was so stupid. Like, why do they have the reputation they have when the food is no good and blah, 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 right? And so then I'm kind of trapped in that victim mentality of they're not doing the right thing. I'm the one who's paying the price, literally the expensive price, and this is so unfair and not okay. I finally got to a point where I could focus on the fact that I didn't like this restaurant, and there was some reason. And there are a lot of reasons to not like a restaurant. You know, maybe it's the food, maybe it's the expense, maybe it's the wait staff, maybe it's whatever. And so I thought to myself, okay, what is it exactly? And as it turns out, for me, they had like new avant-garde versions of classics, and I, with this particular food, really prefer the originals. So it wasn't a good match for me. And once I figured that out, I was like, oh, okay, there are other places I can go for that food, and I'm never going there again. And I don't have to go back and re-experience it, and I don't have to go, get stuck in the narrative of how it's not okay. I can just learn and move forward. It's the same thing in our relationships. Like, let's say, for example, that it's really important to you to be in a relationship with a really smart partner, okay, or a smart friend. You love intellectual conversation and you want to feel smart too, and you want to like have these like amazing discourses that feel like, highly intellectual conversations. But you also want to have deep connections with the people in your life, but you keep picking these potential partners and potential friends, and you can't create an emotional connection because it turns out that you keep picking people who are spend a lot of time in their thinking mind and don't drop into their heart a lot. And so you repeat a pattern and you repeat a pattern and you repeat a pattern, and then you get angry about it because you're like, I don't understand. Why can't I find an emotionally available partner? And what you need to do is look at the experience, not with the pain of all the repeated, pattern of not finding the right person, not with the story that it's not fair and that they've hurt you or they haven't showed up for you, but with eyes of like, what's happening, so that you can figure out what do you need here that you're not getting? And then how do you go find that in the future? How do you go find the person who is, smart and also emotionally available? Until you do that, you're anchored in these past experiences, and then you will just keep repeating them because you're not like squeezing the juicy lesson out of it. So that's how you kind of pick up your anchor and you bring it into your present moment. You don't keep returning to the past and getting mad about what happened in the past and feeling sad about what happened in the past. You look and you go, okay, what's there for me? And then how do I bring this forward? How do I use that as a way to inform actions of today and actions of my future? And so a little homework assignment for you today. Think about something that you feel stuck to that's happened in the past. And this is so normal. We all do this. We're humans, okay? We've been hurt and we return to a painful experience. I am so guilty of having something negative have happened, and then a year later, I am still, when I think about it, I'm like, ugh, instead of saying, hey, what's for me to learn from this so that I can then learn the lesson, forgive, unattach myself from it so that I can gaze forward to what I really want to experience. So think about something that you keep coming back to. Maybe it's like you notice yourself telling a story, the same story of what happened over and over and over to people. That's a good indicator that you're still stuck to it. And with gentleness for yourself, of course, because you were hurt. You're stuck to it because you were hurt. What can you take from it that will help you align yourself with what you really want to experience going forward? What was in there? And I'm not saying that everything has a lesson. There's some real crappy things that have happened to us, and I don't want to, walk through life going like, oh, well, that happened for a reason. No, didn't want to experience that, and I don't want to experience it again. But what is in there for me? What is in there for me so that I can leave it behind me, and so that I don't feel it pulling me back, or I don't keep repeating a pattern, or I don't feel myself charged every time I think of that memory, so that I can create a life of relationships that are deeply connected and that have everything I desire in them. So a little homework assignment for you today. If you do it and you want to share, please drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, best of love to you in this moment and in all of your future relationships.